Now, I'm going to give you a brief analysis of the two texts that you've got on page 83 and on page 86. So you are supposed to read these texts through before listening to my analysis, and then you are supposed also to do a couple of exercises on your own. So the first text is the journal, il diario. Robinson managed to reach the shore, la spiaggia, after the shipwreck. He found shelter, riparo, in a tree in order to spend the night. He swam to the ship to get some provisions. He continued to carry goods from the ship to the shore. And when the raft overturned, he had to recover many of the goods because when the tide, La Maria, was low. So Robinson demonstrates that he's a skillful man, that he's able to act without panicking. He tried to store the goods so as not to have them spoiled by the rain, because when he arrives on the island, the situation is quite difficult. It's raining hard. So he finds the right place where to build his hut. He started to look for some food around. He slept in this new house, which he calls a fortification, which is a kind of symbolic image, because the house becomes his new castle. It's not a big house like a castle, but this obviously is connected to the idea that your own house is your own castle, your own fortification that gives you protection, in which you find yourself at home. And he builds also a fence, una specie di ringhiera, di staccionata, di protezione around his hut in order to protect himself, even though he doesn't know that he's completely alone on the island. So the time setting is present in the dates of this journal, and also the setting, which is the island that Robinson himself calls the island of despair, because when he's shipwrecked on it, he's completely left alone. Everybody died. The weather is not particularly friendly. It's changeable and changes from sun to rain, so it's particularly hostile to Robinson. The narration is obviously first-person narration, and this means that we can enter the feelings, the emotions, and also the thoughts of the character directly. And everything is told in a chronological way. So Robinson records what happens to him, the facts, in a chronological way, as it were a chronicle. So Robinson is upset. At the beginning he feels miserable, alone, he doesn't know what to do, but instead of plunging emergency in himself, in this sorrow, in this pain, instead of giving up, instead of starting crying, he gradually moves towards comfort. He gradually starts to recover his courage and to be active, not to surrender. So here we've got the beginning of this reckless and restless man, a self-made man. He appears very practical, matter of fact, with his feet on the earth, down on the earth. He starts to rationally understand what he needs to do to face and solve the difficult situations. So this text is important because he gives you the idea of how Robinson didn't spend all his day trying to speculate, to think, or to be and to feel sorrow, but he immediately started to do something, to create, to build, and to recreate his own life. So he's got this rational attitude. He's not inclined to admire nature, to be a daydreaming type. Daydream means someone who dreams with open eyes. Because if you are a daydreaming type, you are not active. On the contrary, he is active, he is ready to react. So, on your own, try to do these exercises and to try to understand what the sea, the sheep, and the fortification, what kind of symbolical meaning they have. The second text is called Man Friday, so is concentrated on the meeting between Friday and Robinson, and on the relationship that is created between the two. We can say that the text may be divided into three sections. And the first section describes the native appearance. The second, how the native shows his gratefulness to Robinson because Robinson saved him from the cannibals. And the third section, Robinson begins to teach his civilization, language, culture and religion to Friday. And so we've got the beginning of this particular relationship. A relationship which is not based on friendship. We can't say that Robinson and Friday are friends. We can more say that Robinson acts like the English white colonizer. He behaves like a typical colonist. And Friday is just a savage, a native, who is enslaved by Robinson. So we can say that he becomes Robinson's slave. It is a relationship which is based on the master, Robinson, and it's his slave, Friday. Master, padrone, and slave, schiavo o servo. Because Robinson wants to sottomettere Friday to his own culture, religion, and language. Robinson thinks that his culture, the English, the Western culture, is superior to that of Friday. Friday is just a savage. He's a native. He speaks a language he doesn't know. He worships gods, not just one god, not his god, but gods, like natural divinities. And he's got primitive customs, habits. So Robinson considers himself superior to the natives. He's the superior white man who dominates Europe, who dominates the world, who is rich, who is active, and therefore he wants to submit Friday to his own traditions. So Robinson was milking his goats when he saw this man, and he named him Friday because that was the day on which he had saved him, and he taught him the first word that was master. The first words were master, yes, and no. He gave him some milk to drink, some bread to eat, so he helped him. But he also didn't like the way that Friday acted, spoke, or his habits. So that's why he wanted Friday to adequate himself to Robinson's culture. We have a detailed description of Friday's physical appearance. So there are lots of adjectives which describe his build, his structure, his face, his hair, his forehead, his eyes, his skin, his nose and his teeth. They are described in a very detailed way. And we can say that Robinson says that overall speaking, parlando in generale, Friday is handsome. È carino. Why is he handsome? He's handsome because his features remind him of European people. Infatti lui dice che aveva per esempio il naso piccolo, non piatto, i denti ben sistemati, bianchi come l'avorio, e poi i capelli erano lunghi e neri ma non troppo ricci. La sua faccia per esempio era rotonda, un po' cicciottina. So everything is, we can say that even though Friday is different, obviously, from the white Englishman, he's got many characteristics which resemble, che assomigliano, the Western typical man. That's why he considers him handsome. He considers him handsome because he's not so different from himself. Because what is different, what is strange, then is not positive. Is, on the contrary, creates a sense of fear. Friday's behavior is very submissive, very humble, molto umile, whereas Robinson appears pragmatic. So he values everything according to all actions according to their utility. He is the prototype of the white colonizer, and he gradually transforms Friday. So we can say that in general, this novel celebrates the English spirit of adventure, which was typical of the middle class, adventure in faraway countries. Robinson is armed only with his own strength, intelligence, and of his own religious faith, the idea that God is on his side, and with this he is able to survive and to recreate his own world on the island. The relationship with Friday is that of the colonist and the native, the master and the servant. And Robinson's education, in fact, represents the basic idea of modern English, modern colonialism. Also in this case, try to do on your own exercise number 3 and 4 on page 86. Hope everything was clear for you. Hear from you very soon. Bye bye.